Yo, 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 yo. What's good, everybody? It is your favorite host with the most, Adrian Nyce. We got an interview today with trans non-binary artist slash athlete Brady Bunch. I think I spelled her name wrong in the title. I hope she doesn't get mad at me. But we're going to wait for her to file in. Please take the time to like, share, comment. All right, she just joined. I'm going to get her in here. Says remove from live video as moderator. Invite to join. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a follow if you're watching. I just sent you an invite. What's up? What's up, Cash? What's up, Mr. Miami? Salute to you. Brady, I just sent you an invite if you're still in here to join. Says, damn, I've been trying to link you for a minute. Josue, what's up, man? Send me a message. I'm out here. What's happening? What's happening, player? We're about to do a live interview with trans non-binary artist slash athlete Brady. Says, need your help on the movie, kid. What's up, man? Every time we get up, you say this, but is we gonna make it happen? Mr. Miami, come on, is we gonna make it happen? Mo Peace, them problems, what's happening? All right, she says she's coming. For those of you who don't know her, she's an artist slash athlete. I met her out in South by Southwest last year. We were supposed to do an interview. We did an interview, but it was technical difficulties on my end. My videographer, the audio was messed up and all this and that. Says, me and you got some shit for you, but you ain't fuck with us. I fucks with y'all, player. I fucks with y'all. Bro, look, I'm in the mill right now. Y'all hit me up. We can link. We can link today. We can link today. Hit me up. What's up? What's up? Y'all got to text me first. That's something I will say. Y'all got to text me first. I'll answer no numbers I don't know. AU ain't hit me up in a while, so y'all got to text me. Yes, sir. We waiting. We waiting. Come on. Brady, what's up? What's up? Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go.
What's going on? Give me 1 sec. I got my PR guy just.
It's cool. It's cool. Get straight. Get straight. I'm gonna tell the people, guys, if you guys have questions, go ahead and we'll be answering questions from the audience later. Oh yeah, that Wi-Fi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now? My apologies.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Brady in the building. How's it going today?
It's going pretty good. I hope you all can hear me. My Wi-Fi and IG's been acting up, but I'm doing good. I got a workout in. Been planning some new music.
Yes.
And like you were saying, I'm just really happy that we're getting to have a second interview. I loved the first one. I wish people could have seen it, but there were some technical difficulties.
Exactly. And when one of these days, whenever we circle back to each other, we're going to make that happen, that in-person one happen. So it's not, done with yet. But I definitely wanted to get this IG Live one out the way just so we kind of touch bases with each other. I know you got a couple new things coming up. You're opening up for DaBaby soon, right? Or you already did.
You know what? That actually was November 11th. So it just passed.
It just passed, yes.
And it was an awesome experience. Yeah. Do you want to hear about it a little bit?
Yeah. Tell me, how was the experience? What was it like on stage? What was the crowd action?
So what's really funny, actually, is when you first met me down in South by Southwest, I made some connections while I was down there. So I did quite a few shows. And how should I put this? through people I met down there, I kept in touch, and it basically got me into the door with this like DaBaby circle.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've been testing out different sounds, but I fell in love with Texas when I was down there last time. And you know what? Before I went, I thought being a little bit different, being this, you know, non-binary type character, that, you know, maybe I would have a rough time with the crowds. And to tell you the truth, every crowd is different. At South by Southwest, I tried out different songs with different groups. But for most part, like, people really embraced me. So going to this DaBaby stage, I just thought it was a really cool opportunity because DaBaby's been, you know, he's been in the press a lot.
A controversial character, yes. Yes,
yes.
he is.
So, you know, the fact that DaBaby was willing to share a stage with someone like myself, I think it says a lot. And I'm all about restorative conversations. But it was awesome. It was my biggest stage yet. The crowd was great. Clearly, they've never seen an artist like me, and I know that my music kind of has like a different vibe and a different sound.
How big was the crowd?
You know what? So to tell you the truth, when I was performing, it was probably, I think I was told, it was probably around 2,000 people at that point.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not like no 70,000 whatever, but 2,000, you got to think like normal clubs only hold like, what, 500 people or something like that, like venues and all this type of stuff. So that's like 3 times.
And you know what? And that's what a lot of people don't realize, because we've been, you're kind of part of the industry, right?
Yeah.
If you're not Nicki Minaj, right, you're not selling out giant stadiums, right? And a lot of people don't realize that their biggest superstars are selling out on a big night, 1,000 seats maybe. Mm-hmm. So this was really cool. And what I will say is, the one mishap that happened, the scheduling got screwed up. They ended up moving my setup in time. So I was a little disappointed because more people were coming in as time went on, if that makes sense.
No. That's, I mean, at least you were out there. That's the major thing, right? You know, yeah. being able to network and have people see you. What songs did you get to perform?
So no, it's really cool. The only 2 songs that can be found out there are 2 songs I released in the past. One's called Nursery Rhymes, and one is called, it's this like drill song I did, Bring the Freaks Out. Otherwise, it was all unreleased music that I've kind of been testing out with different crowds. So part of what I'm working on that I'm really happy to share is I'm kind of headed more so to the rock side of things.
Okay.
So you know what? I hear a lot when I go out and do my like screamo rap where I'm like bang, 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 right? Like I'll get a round of applause, I will get respect, but like the feedback I get a lot is like, yo, you have a voice for metal, right? You should be a rock star. And to tell you the truth, I kind of grew up a blended hip hop head and an alternative rock grunge head, right? So truthfully, a lot of the songs were more of my screamo rap that probably might not ever be released at this point, because what I am actually planning on doing is recreating these songs, but with some like rock vibes to it.
I mean, every sound, every genre, every type of music has its audience. So, you know, no matter which way you do go, you know, it just takes you collecting that audience or whatever. So I just want to tap on this. I know we kind of talked about it in the other interview, but that one never came out. And I'm sure you've probably had to explain this a lot. But just what does trans non-binary mean for everybody? And then we'll touch bases on like your boxing.
All right. So how should I put this? So this is where some people get confused. I'll use my hands to kind of like do a little model, right? So there are some people that are trans. And I'll get there. And some people who are non-binary. And then there's certain people like me who kind of have an intersectional identity that fit in both worlds. I sometimes get hate from both worlds, but if they really did their research, there's a lot of people like me and it all makes sense. And in fact, so first of all, trans, I consider in many ways, as you know, it's people who are born identifying or feeling like they were born in the wrong body, right? Something about their gender. They have some dysphoria from it. Now, here's the truth. Some people now claim You don't need dysphoria to be trans. That's a whole nother talk. I'm not going to get into there, right?
But basically, just for an example, you know, a girl is born, but she feels like she's a boy.
Yes.
Basically.
So for example, I was 4 years old, crying, praying to God, praying to wake up in a different body, right? But to tell you the truth,
4 years old.
yes, and we have when my dad passed, we found all these videos of like, because guess what? A lot of the family will be like, no, there were no signs, right? And then look at all these videos of me hysterically crying because I wanted the Barbie dolls and the GI Joes, right? So, but what I learned as I got older, and this is where I've embraced this non-binary thing, I never truly felt like I had to go through a lot of gatekeeping because I started this earlier than others, lots of therapy, right? They wanted me to go full female. Some people believe I need a certain voice to pass, right? And what I would say as time went on, I didn't feel like I was truly being my authentic self.
What?
And,
go ahead. Yeah, you have to about to answer it.
yes, and then the non-binary people are more so like, yeah, screw the binary, right? If you want to identify as male or female, that's cool. Some trans people, guess what? She and her, that's cool. Some of you want to be a he. Some people like me have added the they. And then there's even more categories. It's just the idea of like not embracing the boxes.
Non-binary is just no title or whatever?
So like, for example, there's plenty. I go on the dating apps these days.
Yeah.
And I literally logged on the other day, and there was like the first 12 people it linked me to were non-binary. Now, here's the truth. Some have transitioned. They've done a little surgery. They're on hormones. Some have done nothing. Yet, they do not embrace the binary structure. There's all different reasonings. And what I will say, it's almost like an umbrella term that covers lots of different types of people.
So when you're filling out, like, because I'm sure you probably run into, like, maybe some forms that are just girl or guy, or are you, you know, what do you put?
So, no, it's interesting. So this is what I'll say to a lot of people. I was born male. Okay. My sex was male. My gender, more female or non-binary. I use what's called rolling pronouns.
Rolling pronouns.
So I prefer she, her, they, or them. I use both. There are some forms that now allow me to mark down a they or them. They will have maybe an MX, which stands for like neither nor, right? Instead of Mr. or Miss, right? Or I will usually, if it says gender, I will put female if there's no non-binary option, because that's how I feel I look and present to much of the world, right? And it is more so how I identify, right? If it's sex and there's a legal component to it, well, guess what? I'm going to have to mark down male. So it's all about, this is part of the struggles of navigating as a trans or non-binary person.
And I don't want to focus too much on that, because I'm sure like that's what everybody tries to focus on, and the conversation can go long and deep, et cetera, et cetera. But I just want to kind of clarification, just so I mean, I know, and then my audience, they kind of know, like, okay, this is that and third. And so now we jump into celebrity boxing. Yes. Celebrity boxing, you're the first celebrity boxing non-binary division champion. So does that mean that you're only fighting other non-binary athletes, or how does it work?
So what's interesting is the idea was this. Originally, this belt was supposed to be for a new trans division, right? Where it would be either non-binary athletes like myself, or ideally, I would like to fight other trans women who have transitioned, right? Similar hormonal makeup, right? Similar story, similar background. When it comes to combat sports in general, it's all about the matchmaking, right? You don't want to put someone in a ring if it's uneven and someone might get hurt. Younger,
y'all definitely got to be the same weight class, you know.
Yes. Exactly, right? So the truth is this, I live a large part of my life with some testosterone in my blood.
Yeah.
I have an edge that I believe exists from former muscle memory. Now here's the truth. I've gotten so much weaker. It took a lot of hard work and training for me to gain strength back.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Real quick. So, since you were born a male, I'm sure it's, where your testosterone comes from. Do you have to fight other people that were born males and then, felt like they were girls or whatever the case may be? Or are you still allowed to fight, people that were born girls, but...
So here's what's really interesting. So I compete and train. Well, or I should say more so, I train, spar, and I'm working towards competing in multiple combat sports.
Yeah.
It comes down to maybe the state I would be competing in, the organization I would be competing in, who is the sanctioning board, right? Which sport, right? So for example, I was looking into it. There are some martial arts that technically, if I wanted to, I could probably go and compete with cisgender females, right? There are some where it's not even an option, right?
Yeah.
So for example, without going into too much detail, there was a Floridian MMA fighter that had a pro fight. She transitioned to female, and she fought a French cisgender fighter, and she won. Mixed opinions on the whole situation. Joe Rogan actually approves it, right? He's all for it.
What do you think about it? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's,
I don't want to get too political. I'll say what Joe Rogan said, and Joe Rogan made me think about things. Now, I don't want to fight cisgender women. I'll say that personally, right? Okay. I don't. I almost don't want to make statements that relate to others because I know how divisive and here's the truth. I'll say this. My biggest problem is so many people are busy spewing out fake facts as if the science and data is already there. I think a lot of this needs some more time, but I do think it's wrong that they're passing laws preventing young trans kids from even being able to compete in sports, right? But to go back, Joe Rogan's opinion was there were two pro MMA female fighters. Fallon Fox did not reveal she was trans at first. She got a lot of crap when it came out, and I'd say the media jumped on that and maybe spun some facts to make it seem worse than it was, right? But at the same time, I think she should have been open, right? Going back to this other one, Alana, she was open, former war hero, right? Like I respect the crap out of her. Joe Rogan's like, yo, when it comes to combat sports, shouldn't it be the best of the best? If two people are willing to get in a cage together to test out their skills, should any of us care? And that was Rogan's opinion. Now here's, so what I'll say is this. This is my one argument that I make, and sometimes people I kind of get it. Right now, I have no testosterone in my body, right? Okay. So in a way, I know that the average man that I take on, he does. So in a way, he's juiced up compared to me. But guess what? I'm still down for the challenge. And that's where I will respect a cisgender female's choice to fight a trans opponent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if they're willing to step in, at the end of the day, whoever's willing to step in the ring with whoever and take on the challenge, I guess that's what everybody's saying it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
Weren't you trying to get a fight with I can't think of
it could be Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
So you know what? This is really funny because I was kind of joking around. So I was arranged, so I won this belt by beating a man, right?
Right.
And they made it because all the trans opponents kept backing out, long story. I just wanted to fight so bad that I convinced Damon, can we make it a non-binary open division to start, right? Yeah. At one point, Caitlyn was supposed to be the ring announcer for my first fight or the guest referee. She ended up backing out. Between us, Caitlyn runs her mouth too much, talking about trans athletes in sports. Caitlyn's like, oh, trans women shouldn't be able to compete in this and this. And then some trans girl came wanting to compete in pro golf, Caitlyn's favorite sport. And Caitlyn's like, yeah, it should be allowed, right? And it's just like, yo, you're a hypocrite. You've got so much money. You should keep your mouth shut. Do more good for our community. But instead, she rathers misgender young trans kids. I hate her. Yeah. So here's the truth. I would love to fight her and shut her mouth, but at the same time, she's in her 70s. So I'm not really there's no pride to that. I would rather debate her, right? But to sell tickets and to create some hype, I called her out to a fight, knowing she's got a 1-0 record for the same organization when she fought as Bruce back in the day. So part of me was like, you know what? Maybe Caitlyn will show up. But to tell you the truth, there's like certain trans, young, around my age, actual MMA fighters, boxers, kickboxers that want to fight me. I would rather fight one of them or a Kim Petras, like that pop trans singer.
Are
Because
you
once again, matchmaking.
are you open to any martial art form, like, or are you just trying to focus on boxing or kickboxing or MMA? Is
So,
this
so you know what? I started with this boxing. I then jumped to the kickboxing. I then jumped to jujitsu. I was a big wrestler back in the day too. A little judo, right? Um, the goal for me personally, I hope to do MMA. But what I'm actually in talks to maybe have the first trans versus trans kickboxing match, maybe in March, against someone who just beat a man in her debut last month, right? So the goal is this. I want to literally train in all of it. I've been told, actually, even though I've had some success with the striking, I'm really meant to be a grappler. And that's why MMA is the goal, because I can't wait to choke an opponent out in the ring and get my hand raised.
got like wrestling experience, et cetera, et cetera? You know, like it might come a little more. Well, you know, jujitsu and judo. That's all. Like you said, grappling, throw people to the ground, ground work, all that shit. Okay, now to touch on your music, you do have I think you either recently released a single or it's a single about to come out called Snakes and Gates.
Yeah, Snakes and Gates is coming out. I think I'm going to drop it December 8th. It's almost like the introduction to the rock sound. Now, I know it's going to change big time. But imagine this producer I know who's got some cool creds in the hip hop side. He's worked with like one of 50 Cent's biggest hits. This guy cooked up, right?
Yeah.
So imagine we met up going back months ago. Loved all my unreleased stuff. We're just sitting there. And then I told him, I was like, yo, you think you could rockify this? And then he sent me Snakes and Gates. And I was like, yo, you nailed the sound I've been going for. And from there on, it's led to an inspiration where now I'm literally talking to rock legends, metal legends that are talking about helping me with this sound, this new vibe. So yeah, it's coming out in December. I'm going to be performing. I've got bands that are like auditioning to like be part of my band maybe.
Are there any, once you do kind of, you know, go a little deeper into this sound and kind of like, you know, hone in on it, are there any particular like rock, rap type people that you want to collab with?
You know what? It would be a dream to collab with people that I loved growing up that are still legends today. I think of like Rage Against the Machine, Limp Bizkit. You know what? So it's less, those two fit more into like kind of the rappy rock, right? I would say almost Linkin Park was amazing, right? But I'm thinking more of a unique metal-esque different sound. And like I grew up like, so Chris Cornell has passed, right? But Soundgarden, which fits into like the Audio Slave vibe, right? So people like that. Unfortunately, a lot of the people I wish I could have make music with me would have been like David Bowie, Mac Miller, people that are no longer here with us, Chris Cornell. But I will say that without saying too much, one group that I mentioned, there may be someone from that group that's like in talks to possibly help me with this upcoming album, which has me so excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are goals for this, you know, this new genre of music that you're diving into and, you know, your new music that you're about to drop? What are some goals for this?
So you know what? I'm not sure if you feel this way, but I'm starting to feel like a lot of the hip hop that's out there, it's redundant.
For sure.
You know, and like I think I told you, so much of the music I made was with the kids in the city. And what kills me is some of them, in my opinion, started off going the right direction. And now that I'm not making music with them again, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm happy you're making music, but it's that commercial sound or not commercial sound. You're sounding like those certain rappers from those certain niches, but it's not you. And so part of me is actually predicting that some of the other genres are going to rise back up again. And I feel like hip hop will stay. But one of my goals is actually, I love Mac Miller, and he had some there was some stupid Mac Miller line, I forget, but it was like, you gotta like, to have success, you have to recreate the game or find your own sound, right?
Yeah.
So part of me is like, I'm dreaming of possibly taking stars from the hip hop world and getting them to somehow fit on these rock heavy tracks,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just a new sound that maybe could fit on multiple types of radio stations, you know? Like, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but Jay-Z and Linkin Park had like a mashup album, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it was huge in New York, at least, right? It was always on the radio, and like you couldn't not hear it, right? And I feel like it helped blow both sides up, right? And you would hear it like on Hot 97 hip hop, and then you'd hear it on Z100, the pop station, and then you would hear it on K Rock, the rock station, and like.
How do you feel about Machine Gun Kelly?
So here's part of the reason I'm jumping into this rock world is I see, so I'm making some predictions because I see, all right, he jumped hot to rock. I don't think it was too successful for him. I think the success we see is fabricated and through advertising. And, you know, I know he had the #1 rock album on SoundCloud. I'm calling BS.
People behind the machine behind.
Yes, right? I also see that Willow Smith is claiming she's a rock star and a metalhead. What I will say is I appreciate her. But when I see these people, I'm like, nah. Rock runs through my veins. And like, so part of me jumping to this world is I think I'm more authentically meant to be in that realm. And I think I can make a lot of noise. And part of me, I don't know, when you talk about goals, part of me feels like all the music I did before was leading up to this.
Okay.
And this is where I'm really going to try to make noise, maybe get on the Billboard charts, get on tours. Like, I would love to tour the country with major rock bands, with some hip hop heads along for the ride. So yeah, I would say that. And Willow Smith, much more respectable. I just, and her mom did have like that kind of metal background that not many people know about.
I did not.
Even Ice-T had that Body Count back in the day, the metal rap band, right? But yeah, going back to MGK, to me, the way he's dressing these days, he's just, it's like, yo, when we talk about artists getting cloned, it's like, yo, was he cloned and they screwed up, right? Like, what's going on? This is not the same guy, right? Like,
he did not come into the industry like that, for sure. He definitely didn't come into the industry like, he's definitely changed, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. After it's all said and done, when people hear your music, what do you want them to take away from it?
So, you know what I've been saying lately? A few things. One is I have stories to tell. So I want people to understand the stories I'm going to be telling about some of the bullshit I've been through in the past, right? I feel like a lot of the music today either has fake stories that people didn't go through and they're just rapping about, or there's no real message. So going back to like Rage Against the Machine, they had a message, right? And a sound. I also want people to have energy. So being a fighter, I say a lot of my new music is going to be fight music, right? The type of music you could listen to before a big football game, before a big match, right? Just make you like want to go out there and win, or like run an extra 5 miles. Yeah, exactly. And I also want one day, when I started rapping, as silly as it sounds, I feel like I kept getting compared to just random white rappers, right? Depending who it was, right? Oh, you sound
that's
like
what typically happens. You know, people do that, but go ahead.
Right, so it was either like Insane Clown Posse, Eminem, right? And the other one I heard actually was Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit, right? So what I will say is, part of me is like, yeah, especially Fred Durst and Eminem. I grew up listening to them, so there's probably something there. But what my goal is, I want people to hear my music and be like, rather than like, oh, that sounds like Rage. Oh, that sounds like Eminem. No, that sounds like Brady Bunch, right? That's what my goal is. I want a unique sound that people get addicted to in the ear. And I would love to resurrect rock while keeping some of the hip hop roots that I've got.
Guys, if you're watching this right now, we're about to wrap up in a little bit. I got one more segment, but while we're talking to this next segment, if you guys, anybody in the chat has a question that you want to ask, Now's the time to drop it in there, and then I'll be sure to circle back and make sure it's asked.
What's going on, River? I see one of my former students popping in.
Oh, there you go. Okay, they tapped in with you.
You got a question for us, River?
Drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. Okay, so while they're, if somebody has a question while they're dropping it in there, I have one last segment. It's called One Piece of Advice. And basically, I'm just going to ask you to give one piece of advice. It could be to a group of people, could be to the whole world, et cetera, et cetera. So first, I want you to give one piece of advice to the MMA community.
All right. You know what? This is advice that I've gotten recently from a lot of people. The most important thing, you got to find the right gym. I wasted my time in some of the wrong gyms. If your coaches don't believe in you or see it, if they don't like you asking questions, you're wasting your time and your money. It wasn't until I jumped a couple gyms that I found my last two gyms and my current coach. It's taken everything to another level. I feel more confident. So you need to be in a place where you feel safe, understood, respected. So yeah, that's a big thing. The other thing, get your diet right. That's the biggest thing, right? If I didn't get my meal prep right, I literally order meal preps from local places, right? I have some nice people that hook me up sometimes. Right now, I'm back on my keto diet for the first time in a few months to try to drop down a bit. But I literally transformed my body through diet. So if you're still eating potato chips at night, if you're going to get fast food, yeah, no, you shouldn't even be. You don't even think about competing in MMA, right? Because your career will end before it begins. If that makes sense.
Next, give one piece of advice to people just now discovering your music, or people soon to be exposed to the new sound that you're about to have come out.
All right, piece of advice. So this is my advice in a way, for me at least. And you hear that I hear this from people when I'm complaining about the industry.
Yeah.
If you want to make music and you do want to make some noise and get some attention, you want to be part of this industry, you have to be ready to be frustrated. You have to be ready to get patience. You have to be ready to hear feedback from people you don't want to hear it from. You have to be ready to ask for feedback from people that you might not be fully prepared for. But I'd say the biggest thing is this: you got to stay true to yourself. And there were times going back to like talking about finding the right gyms. I had to find the right producers, the right media team, the right everything. Something as simple as, how do I put this? I had a manager that promised me briefly that they were going to organize my life. They were going to change the world for me. And literally what kept happening month after month was deals were falling through, opportunities weren't happening. And before I know it, there was a lot of, I put my faith in the wrong person. And I would say it led to a lot of mistakes. And you get this, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately too, sometimes we think that we want to be, how disappointing is this? I've offered opportunities to loved ones and people from my past, some really good opportunities, where I know in my heart, right? And I've given people shots, and they've promised me that they would show up for something and guess what? Suddenly they're not there. So what I will say is, be prepared to have to do a lot of this yourself. Be prepared to take losses. Be prepared to sit there and think like, man, is any of this worth it? To realize it is and to push through. Because if you're sticking to your own guns, I got to the point, I started finding the producers that got me. The ones that if I made the growl, didn't tell me like, what are you doing? Da, 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 right? Like, find your people, find your tribe. And if you catch on that anyone fooled you and is not really your people or part of your tribe, don't waste your time trying to smooth things over. Don't be too nice. Cut the toxicity loose, because in this world, it's all got to be focused on progress, right? Another thing real quick, hire people where they don't bring their emotions into it. I hope that doesn't sound cold, right?
No, with business, you definitely got to approach it with a non-emotional type of approach for sure.
Exactly. And so recently, I kind of got rid of some people that were bringing in certain emotions that had nothing to do with what was going on. And now it's all about business. And that's why I'm so excited. I think next year is going to be my biggest year because I feel like I finally have the right team. I've got the right vision, and I'm being true to myself.
That's good. Look, I'm excited. I love your progress. I love to see the different things that you're doing, and you're not afraid to back down. You know, you're hitting everything head on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely excited. Any last words before we wrap things up?
You know what? I want to get someone because I see them. Are they still here?
Yes, people here. So if anybody has one question and you want to ask Brady before we
It could be
wrap
anything. Does it?
sign out, now is your time to ask.
Hold up.
Now,
I'm going to see because I do know some of the people who are watching. Give me one sec. If I click on it, Ramsey, are you here?
yeah, just ask him. Are you in the chat? Do you
You
have
know
a
what? Can I invite people real quick?
Yeah, I will.
Wait, how would I invite people?
So is there like a little person symbol? Who do you want to
Oh,
invite? Maybe I can invite them.
you know what?
If there's a person symbol, it might let you invite them. Ramsey Flores?
Yeah, should we call someone in or no? They can type it, right?
They can type it. But I mean, yeah, they can type it. Here, let me see. Ramsey's, yes. It's Ramsey, you got a question. What's your favorite food?
What's your favorite food?
What's your favorite food?
That's You know what? So if I was on death row
Yeah.
and I had my last meal.
Spice it up. Dang, that's crazy. Your last meal. There's so much to eat out there. Like, what would you choose?
I'm thinking I'm gonna. All right, this is a few different things. So it would have to be really specific. So my ex, as crazy as this sounds, divorced. My ex was Puerto Rican.
Okay.
With recent holiday dinners and everything, I'm really missing. I'm gonna say it like such a. I'm gonna slaughter this word, right? They all made fun of me whenever I pronounce it, but like pernil and gandules, right? Or bani, like they say it so much better than me. But fucking the pork with the fucking rice and the peas and like just I miss that so much. The holidays are not the same, right? It's got to be extra fatty with the skin, right?
Yeah.
I think it would be that, believe it or not, with some red beans. Like I need the sauces, right? But yeah, that sounds.
Gotta have a drink too. What to drink?
You know what? I normally wouldn't. It would have to be a good beer, I think.
Okay.
Right? I don't know why, right? I would want to be chilled out for like, the full food coma, right? Like chug that beer, all those carbs and fat. I would sleep like a baby that night before my final resting spot, right?
You're right. Go ahead and say your social media and then we are going to slide.
So everybody, I appreciate the few of you that popped in, right? We will be sharing this elsewhere. First of all, thank you. Like, so much fun. Can't wait till we see each other in person again.
Thank you for being patient with me.
No, don't worry. And everybody, if you want to find me, the non-binary ninja, I know some of you know clearly I'm on Instagram, but it's Brady Bunch, BRAYD BUNCH, all one word.
Yeah, I got it mixed up. The Y and the D, I got it, but it's the Y before the D. Brady.
Yes. Don't worry. I did it like sounding out wise, and so I don't get sued, right? And people spell it wrong all the time. In fact, if I could go back, I would have just made it Brady. But no, this has been a blast. I appreciate it. And a question: you have anything cool coming up?
Yes, guys, if you want to take the time out to vote for me, I'm actually nominated for another award. The podcast is this year we were nominated for 5 of them, but I'm still in the running for 1. So you can go to Southern Entertainment Awards and then go to voting and then vote for us podcast of the year. There you go.
Awesome. I'll be sure to vote.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Have a
All
good
right.
one. Later,
Peace.
everybody.
Yeah.